Okay, the weather seems nice today, although they say there's supposed to be a solar storm of sort today. It's supposed to mess up things like GPS and stuff. I guess we'll see, huh? And what I read today. How about this first one? With all that news about war between Ukraine and Russia and being supplied drones as one of the main types of weapons they're using, apparently somebody in Canada is facing prosecution over supplying, I guess, Russia with drone-related items. This one says, Toronto man accused of supplying Russia's drone program is first to face prosecution over sanctions. So what's going on, huh? It says, last week, Global News revealed the RCMP had arrested a Toronto businessman for allegedly exporting restricted goods to Russia in the months after Putin launched his 2022 full-scale attack in Ukraine. The RCMP has now confirmed that Anton Trofimov was taken into custody on May 22nd, and he has been accused of selling materials to Moscow that could be used to make weapons. The arrest is the first under the Special Economic Measures Act, which placed export controls on Moscow in 2014 in response to Russian military intervention in Ukraine. We can confirm that this is the first prosecution under SEMA based on the Russia regulations, said Natalie Hull, a Public Prosecution Service of Canada spokesperson. The charges do not mention drones, but Trofimov and his companies were sanctioned by the US in 2023 for allegedly shipping microelectronics to Russian military drone manufacturers. That's kind of interesting if that is the case, because usually the drones that you hear about in the news are those Shahed drones, which is from a different country and all that. So if it isn't the Shahed drones, what drones would they be? Apparently it's something called the Russia's Orlan 10 drones, and the person has companies in Toronto and Hong Kong, according to all these reports anyways. This makes me think, because in terms of, I guess, exporting products, there's all that news here about the tariffs and so forth, and apparently the government here wants to do more business with China. So if this company has presence, let's just say in that area, if he sells the equipment to them and then the Chinese company exports it to Russia because they're on friendlier terms, even though they say they restrict things like, for example, certain items for military use, would he actually be in the clear in that regards anyways? All this geopolitical stuff, I'm sure people will find ways to get through them, I guess. Well, that thought actually of geopolitical stuff and all, that's kind of interesting in terms of AI, where apparently in the US, there was a bill of sort being proposed that would actually stop people from regulating AI for 10 years or something like that. So apparently it deals with this bill that's being dubbed as the One Big Beautiful Bill, which I believe is supposed to deal with things like federal budget. But there are these little clauses, I suppose. Like it says here, the provision will prevent states from implementing or enforcing any AI-specific regulations, including existing laws and those under consideration for 10 years. It also includes regulations related to consumer protections like AI transparency, worker safeguards, deepfake protections, and AI use in areas like healthcare or autonomous vehicles. So it's pretty much everything, even creatively, for example. And the ban would not prevent federal AI regulations, but no comprehensive federal AI law is currently in place to replace state-level rules. And this bill did pass the House apparently on May 22nd, 2025. And as you can imagine, a lot of people are saying this essentially benefits big tech for anybody who wants a free rein on AI development. So does that mean, for example, taking advantage of things like people's work as well? Because if you can't make any laws about it for 10 years, if this passed, then theoretically they could do it, right? Because there's no protection that exists in that regards. Is this how it usually works in politics? They introduce some kind of, let's just say, law or bill where they show it's about one thing, but in reality, when you read all the little fine prints, there's all this little stuff. Kind of reminds me actually of that recent drone law here in Canada. It's supposed to be about BVLOS, but then magically, if you read into it, they restricted things like micro drones and stuff in advertised events. It makes me wonder if it's kind of the same thing in that regards. There was some interesting videos about AI robots and so forth though. Like how about this one? It says a Swiss-led team has developed an AI-driven legged robot that can play badminton against human components, demonstrating precise coordination and accuracy. Yeah, you can see that's what it's doing. It's playing badminton with the person. It looks like it would be a good training partner of sort, correct? Although with that other event you saw, like in China, for example, with those robots kickboxing each other, can you start imagining full-time sporting events where it's nothing but robots competing against each other? Would you actually again be, I guess, in favor of stuff like that versus watching a human, or do you think it's just not the same thing? And I read this piece of news, which seemed kind of random but interesting to think about, where apparently here in Canada, somebody won the lottery and it should have been a celebration, but the claim is his girlfriend stole the winnings. I'm just wondering, how does that happen? There's some technicalities to this. This one here says, man who won 3.6 million lottery jackpot says girlfriend took the money and ghosted him. So what the heck happened? Apparently it dealt with a Lotto 649 winning, and a person named Lawrence Campbell and his ex-girlfriend Crystal Ann Mckay were in a committed relationship for over a year and living together when they purchased the 649 ticket on January 18th, 2024, so it was a while ago, at Isabel Street in Winnipeg. Now, he claims he paid for the ticket, and when they, I guess, brought it into a Shoppers Drug Mart, it verified they won, so it should be a celebration, correct? But apparently what happened is, it says this Campbell person did not have his wallet or identification at the time of verification, which prevented him from immediately claiming the prize. So the lottery staff apparently told him to come back with the ID. So instead he told, I guess, his girlfriend to bring her ID to claim, I guess, the prize on his behalf. And at the same time, the girlfriend took possession of the winning ticket. So afterwards, I guess she claimed the prize and all that, and she put all the money into her bank account by the sounds of it, only for this guy to find out she was with, I guess, another man, and then eventually she just, quote, ghosted him. So with that, on May 23rd of this year, apparently Campbell filed a lawsuit in Winnipeg against Mckay, the girlfriend, the Western Canada Lottery Corporation, and Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries, alleging a breach of trust and claiming the winnings were his or jointly owned. And the lawsuit seeks for $5 million, asserting that Campbell purchased the ticket and that Mckay wrongly claimed and kept the prize. So he's just saying, from the sounds of it, from what I gather, is he got really bad, I guess, quote, legal advice from the lottery officials, if this is all true. If it is, I'm just wondering again, how would one expect to get away with this? It's so big, just in terms of the amount and all that. Although this is one of those stories where when it comes to lotteries on a surface level, it should be something fantastic. You're getting money is life-changing, but then at the same time, stories like these happen so often where when you win it, you meet so many, let's just say, quote, scummy people. People show their true side and all that. It's almost like a curse in many ways, huh? They say money changes people. I'm inclined to say I don't think it really changes people in general. It just gives them more, let's just say, quote, I guess, power and freedom, where they're more likely to show who they really were, like from day one. That's my personal opinion anyways. I guess this is a good example too, why it's good to try to find, let's just say, true support, friends and so forth, family, whatever you want to say, before you are, I guess, rich. If people come afterwards and all of a sudden, hey, I'm your best buddy in this, then I'd be a little bit skeptical. That's why it's good, I guess, before you have that kind of a windfall, make your observation now in terms of the people that are actually supporting you and all that, not afterwards, once all the glory and stuff come in. Alright, see you guys later.